Final Fantasy is a series built off of out-of-this-world, aggrandized stories that are often rooted in some kind of tragedy and the very human response to those events. The games are larger than life so that the situations can become exaggerated in a way that can properly shine a light on not only the characters' reactions to heartbreak and sorrow, but also our own. A murderous one-winged angel hell-bent on destruction that's carrying out the will of an alien lifeform is extraordinarily over the top. The inclusion and of course the death of a girl next door type such as Aerith is relatively mundane by comparison, which makes it stand out and also adds real stakes to the story. The series has these stakes and cashes in on them in a way that rips right to the core of those who play it. While every Final Fantasy entry deals with different kinds of tragedy and have their own somber stories, I don't think any embodies that idea of heartbreak and what it means to find hope in the darkest times more than Final Fantasy X. From being the last game to feature true turn-based combat before whatever you could call 12's system, to its completely linear approach to world design, something that 13 was criticized heavily for, but not 10, at least on time of release. But what I find most interesting is how it changed the way Final Fantasy sounds. The inclusion of voice acting was a major shift in the series and one that had a massive ripple effect on the game's soundtrack, themes, and most importantly, its story. I won't sit here and say the story isn't a little convoluted, because it is, as with most games within the franchise. But if you can pass some of the weirdness, it is extremely moving. I'm going to be talking about this game under the assumption that you have played it, so if it feels a little jargony, I apologize, but it would take a whole video in itself to explain everything in detail. On the surface, it seems Final Fantasy X's central theme is friendship, but if you look a little closer, it's more than just that. It's the hope we can instill in others, and the hope that is given to us by those we trust. The kind of trust that is built upon an initial foundation of friendship, and with that trust, we move forward and grow as people. Maybe it's not how we thought life would go, but with a good group behind us, persevering is always possible. Series composer and industry legend Nobuo Uematsu stated in an interview that with advancement of sound technology between the PS1 and PS2, the sound of music actually stayed relatively the same, while the refinement of sound effects was prioritized. However, what voice acting meant, instead of writing music to convey all emotion in replacement of spoken dialogue, the score was able to complement what was being shown rather than tell the whole story. Contrasted with previous entries, it's easy to see why this decision was made. Squall's torturous interrogation at the hands of Cypher is hard to watch, and the low dramatic music adds tension to the moment, but its seriousness is a little undercut by the lack of voice acting. It's a good moment that loses some emotional weight due to the limitations of the hardware. Every important line of dialogue in 10 is spoken. I'm not going to sit here and defend the voice acting in this game.
You cried.
The range of quality varies from decent to outright corny and everywhere in between, but it's a testament to its storytelling and character growth that shows if you are willing to meet it where it wants you to, you will get something truly special out of the world of Spira and all the problems its inhabitants face. With spoken word, the emotions felt by characters is much easier to get across. And as a result, the moments where music regains its old spotlight to do all the talking are that much more powerful. A motif or familiar fanfare coming back can hit like a truck. Putting music behind dialogue can have a huge impact on a moment. A sad song can add weight to what a moment in any media wants to accomplish. And one of the songs that carries the brunt of the emotional core of Final Fantasy X on its back is To Zanarkand. To Zanarkand is a song that even if you haven't played Final Fantasy X, you've probably heard it. It's such a powerhouse of a song whose legacy outlives the game it was written for. However, it's more than just a sad piano tune that can be found outside of 10. It's the glue that holds the entire game together. It's not only the song you first hear after booting up, it's also the very first cutscene where the first ever spoken word is heard in a Final Fantasy game, where Tidus pleads us to hear his story.
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
This was the song Square wanted us to associate with this monumental change to the franchise. It would have been easy for 10 to open with Tidus saying his line and then the music and intro coming in second. After all, showing off the voice acting out the gate would be understandable when it's so new to a franchise. Breath of the Wild did it, where the first thing you hear outside of some menu chimes is Zelda's voice. The choice to let the music tell the mood was a somewhat risky one. Picking the wrong song here could have set an entirely wrong tone moving forward, but having Uematsu at the helm, he managed to make the right one. To Zanarkand weaves wonderfully throughout the game in different ways, renditions and even instrumentations striking exactly when needed, always watering the seed planted at the very first moments. While all Final Fantasy games have fantastic intros that all could have their own videos made about them alone, the difference between all the previous 9 and then 10 is they all feel epic. 9 plays like an opera because that's how the game opens. It feels like a Shakespearean tragedy comes and goes within just the opening cutscene. 6 has the slow march of war, trying to prepare the player for the horrors that await even though nothing realistically could. But instead of bombast, 10 is quiet and somber. What initially looks like a bittersweet victory with weapons put to the side as the cast sit around, sullen, the remnants of what could have been a hard-fought victory, and as those lonely piano notes flicker through the speakers, it's hard not to wonder what it means as you're asked to hear the story of those sat broken around a campfire. Initially, when I had the idea for this video, it was going to be about just To Zanarkand and how its importance got swept away by early meme culture as it was a stand-in, easy-to-use song for sad but funny punchlines, and that impact led to a lot of dilution of how gut-wrenching Final Fantasy X actually is. And a lot of that is still true. However, when I replayed the game for this video, there was another song that really caught my attention, and that was the Hymn of the Fayth. To Zanarkand represents the dream world, and its real-world counterpart is Hymn of the Fayth. Every impactful moment for Yuna is scored with a different rendition of the church-like choir, the Song of the Dead and Unsent. The first major moment of Final Fantasy X for a character outside of Tidus is the sending of Kilika. After Sin's brutal attack on the small beachside village, Yuna must send the souls of the recently deceased to the far plane in order to stop them becoming fiends of sin. It's the first real look at what this future of the world is like from Tidus's perspective. This is his reality check that this isn't the place he knew. There are real people dying all the time and all around him. This song works so well for Yuna because it was written as a song of defiance. It's there every time you enter a temple, or she does something in the name of Yevon despite its original intention being against the god. As explained by Machen, it was repurposed by the temple to be the song that soothes the dead. The soundtrack of Yuna's journey is the hymn because it's her defying Yevon with her friends at her side. Music is an incredibly powerful tool for protest against oppressive institutions and can unite a mass. And when looking throughout real-world history, there have been countless attempts from governing bodies to water songs like these down to help quell rebellion. Shortly after Yuna has been labelled a traitor of the temple, they are stopped in Mount Gagazat by the Ronso. When Kimahri earns back the respect of his tribe, they promised to protect the party, even if it means defying Yevon. As they do this, they sing the Hymn of the Fayth. This is the first time we hear the song after the party has been labelled the enemy, and is the first time we hear it truly as a song of protest, and its true intended meaning becomes a little bit clearer to us. The more privy to lore and Patience might have been told of its origins by Machen moments before all of this happened, if you were willing to sit through his long history of Zanarkand. There's a moment towards the end of the game that really gives away the appropriation of the Hymn of the Fayth by the Temple of Yevon. As you finish the last cloister trial in Zanarkand, each symbol representing their faith lights up and plays a chime. The chimes together play the song, but it's not complete. It's as if the faith being used know this and are standing in defiance themselves, refusing to complete the song on a holy land they don't believe in. And when it comes time to fight the boss afterwards, Yunalesca, as someone who is the root cause of all the wrongdoings happening in Yevon's name, the hymn theme is warped. The choir is the biggest it's ever been, but it's also the most discontented one. The faith are stuck in Zanarkand wanting to go home, but they can't, and it's the fault of Lady Yunalesca. Something I realized upon my replay of 10 and writing this video is while Tidus says multiple times that this is his story,
this is my story. It'll go the way I want it, or I'll end it here.
That's not really the full truth. It's as much Yuna's as it is his.
You say it's your story, but it's my story too, you know?
They're two sides of the same coin, one looking for a way home and the other looking for a way to say goodbye to it. Yuna's is the story that pushes us through the game, and Tidus is the bystander trying to make sense of it all. That's why To Zanarkand and Hymn of the Fayth complement each other so perfectly. The lonely piano notes of the former feel lost, like you want to give up, but there's a force telling you not to, while the latter is a choir, a song full of people singing for purpose. And then there's Auron. Auron is a character whose story is like the prelude to the events of 10. The failed version of defying Yevon. All the pieces were there for Auron and Tidus's dad checked, but Braska, Yuna's father, couldn't quite bring himself to the rebellion his daughter achieves. For most of the story, Tidus is pouty about his father abandoning him and his mother, while on the flip side, Yuna spends most of it trying to live up to the name of a legendary summoner her dad left behind in the wake of his death, defeating Sin. All the while, Auron was caught in the middle, unable to see what was right. Although Braska knew Yevon wasn't all it was made out to be, he couldn't find the way to truly end the cycle of sin. It took Auron remaining unsent and feeling like a failed guardian to realize what it was going to take. In the moment before his death, Jecht tells Auron he wants to turn into a Fayth. He wants to give his life meaning, the same meaning Tidus has been looking for. While this happens, we hear To Zanarkand. It's not played on the usual piano though, it's more of an orchestra. Not a full one, but most of one. It's filling out. Jecht, Auron, and Braska had hope and believed in a plan even if it didn't work. They weren't alone like Tidus had been up until this point. As it transitions from the flashback to modern day, the song remains. Tidus's resolve has changed. He is standing where their parents couldn't the last time. As their journey continues and we see Yuna's pilgrimage to Zanarkand unfold, she is saying goodbye to places. She is, in her own way, slowly performing her own sending. And it's not just Yuna. By the time we see that sullen opening scene in context, it's not the end of the story, merely the calm before the climax. Each and every party member has gone through something transformative. Yuna has had to say goodbye to everyone she's ever met and every place she's ever gone. Wakka has had to let go of his faith, the one thing that he held strong after his brother died. Lulu had to face her failed pilgrimage. Riku lost her home, Kamari had all of his people slaughtered, Tidus learnt the truth about how summoners sacrificed themselves at the end of the pilgrimage, and Auron has had to try and make peace with death and losing his resolve. As we get this scene again in context, we get the true meaning of the song To Zanarkand. How we may feel alone at times, but with our friends at our side, no matter how our path in life might have changed, as long as we have hope, we will be okay. One of the biggest moments of the game is reaching Zanarkand. We learn that Tidus is from the Land of Dreams, the world that was destroyed in the war, and the people held in stasis so that they can be called upon. They are the Fayth, the ones for which the hymn is sung. The people who are tired and would like to rest instead of existing in limbo waiting to be used in an eternal war that never really ended. The final song we hear played with Tidus is simply called Zanarkand. There's no two anymore. He's finally going home. This song is what feels like the full version of the previously played To Zanarkand. Instead of just sullen notes on a piano, it's a filled orchestral rendition. The hope that was missing the entire time. The reason all times of hearing To Zanarkand before the finale was because Tidus hadn't truly figured it out until it's too late. We've seen Tidus go from lonely blitzball superstar afraid to let anyone in, to someone who is now leaving behind not only a group of people who left him fulfilled, but a world he could help. The story isn't really happy. It's a bummer tale from start to finish, but that's what makes it special. You learn to find hope within its sad walls. It shines a light that says it's okay that things aren't working out how you thought they would, but with a good group of people around you, you can learn to overcome and adapt. You learn to find hope in the darkness, using your friends as a guide. The way the game weaves To Zanarkand and Hymn of the Fayth through its character arcs and biggest moments to not only sit as a soundtrack, but as a complementary storyteller alongside the main cast. All of this is why, after the slow fate of Tidus, when sin is truly defeated and Yuna must stand as the summoner who lived and deliver a message moving forward, her ending line,
"The people and the friends that we have lost, no dreams have faded. Never forget them.
The song played is new. It's a dawn of a new era, and yet it still hits like a truck.
It's not working.
Practice.
Okay.
Hey, use that if we get separated. Then I'll come running, okay?